Putting it all together is much like going back to the foundation pieces, because it's the foundation that sets the strength for the rest of this program, much like the foundation for a building. When you lay the groundwork for the building and put down the foundational piece, in this case perhaps cement, and then the structural walls, that provides a strong foundation for the building that's going to be built. In this program, the foundation was in part based upon creating a vision and leaving a legacy. In every lesson, I've talked about how important it is to have a vision for your life, a vision for your workplace, perhaps even a vision for your family. That if you have a vision, it helps keep you focused. It'll help keep you on track. The problem I see today in many businesses and with many people who are not achieving the goals that they had hoped for is that they don't have a vision articulated, and it's so specific that they don't know what to do. So they do a lot of different things, and they end up in what people call being, just busy instead of being productive. So when you get laser focused on a vision, then you will have far more success than you ever thought possible. And throughout your life or your career, you'll start to build a legacy, much like many of our grandparents have done before us, and many of the great leaders that we either know or have read about who had a great vision. And they lived their vision as best they could and gathered help from others and left a legacy. Part of the foundation has been on incremental gains. Again, incremental gains are these small steps of progress that collectively over time add up to be huge successes. Success is not going to happen overnight. Success will happen by following a set path, understanding the system. And that's much about what I've been sharing here is the system, the sound, logical approach to becoming better as a person, becoming better as a professional, becoming better as a person in society, if you will, to help everybody. And if we do that, we move into the top 2%. We move into the group of people who are literally enjoying their lives. They're living the life that they want for themselves. They may not have it perfect yet, but they are far more ahead than they would be otherwise, and if they just went through it haphazardly. I look at it this way. I look at the next 10 years of my life. The next 10 years of my life are going to go by either way. I might as well be totally focused on what I want to do and have fun doing with what I want to do, so that 10 years from now I've achieved great goals. I could look back at the 10 years and say, wow, I did it my way. I enjoyed my time. I have great friends. I have great family members. I have great experiences. If you look at your life that way and say, in the next 10 years, it's going to go by either way, why not make it the very best you can? For some of us, that may mean a little extra work up front to put our plans into place, to do our list, to be able to create our structure. But once you do that, it gets very easy. And the more you do it, it's like riding a bicycle. The more you do it, the more proficient you get at doing that. Part of the foundation went on to the mindset. The mindset, a set of beliefs or the way of thinking that determines one's behavior, our outlooks, our mental attitude. And I put that into the form of looking at our philosophies, that our philosophies are gained by our upbringing, but yet we can change our philosophies by surrounding ourselves with great people, by reading good books. I'm a big advocate of reading, even if it's just 10 pages of a good book every day, because applying incremental gains, reading 10 pages of a good book every day adds up to be somewhere between 13 and 18 great books a year. That will fundamentally change your philosophies if you adopt that habit. And what will happen for you is that all of a sudden, things that weren't working for you before will. Things that you couldn't see as clearly become more clear because you're reading, you're learning. And in most cases, you're probably sharing it with other people. And when you have these positive philosophies, you end up with positive attitudes. The type of attitudes that other people want to be around. The type of attitudes that encourages people to join in with you to help you live your vision, to help you reach your goals. You know how it is. If you meet people that have great attitudes, you enjoy your time with them. If it's people with bad attitudes, you go home and you say, oh, I can't believe that person's so negative. You have the choice to decide your attitudes. And I gave you several tips and tools early on how to do that. And one of them is simply by surrounding yourself with good people, who have great attitudes. Listening to your best and your favorite music. Your music can do that for you. Get in a time and a place with your family and enjoy yourselves. Go to the movies, go to the parks, go have fun. Live your life, and you'll have great attitudes, and that will provide great actions, because when you have great attitudes, you're taking the actions that are positive. You're helping people. You're setting great examples. You are leading the way in your own life, but you're also leading the way for others, not only to follow, but to emulate. And therefore, that's where you're really leaving your legacy. And by doing these steps and taking these positive actions, you get a certain amount of success. More success than you ever thought possible by just investing a little time in making this happen. Whether that success, again, be a financial goal that you might have, or just the success of better relationships, of living the next 10 years in a manner that when you get to that point 10 years from today, that you say, that was a successful 10 years. I accomplished some goals. My children are doing great. I'm healthy. I'm happy. Whatever that success will be for you, define it and start looking at creating your vision around that. As you put it all together, again, we went from the mindset of what to do, as we just talked about, to going into now the review of the program curriculum, or the 5 different lesson plans that I provided, which I concluded to be part of what I call realizing your full potential. The first lesson was about the vision, mission, and guiding principles. It's about that vision and creating that vision so clear and so strong that it pulls you to your goals. It's then about creating the mission. The mission is and will become the steps, the things, the processes that you need to do to be able to live your vision. In the example I gave early on in the program, it was about in the United States, the president in 1963, John F. Kennedy, gave the country a vision, if you will. He shared his vision to put man on the moon by the end of the decade and bring him home safely. And that was the vision that encouraged and created a lot of momentum, which people got behind, and created the space program in the United States and the Apollo program, and found astronauts, built computers, built equipment to make it happen. And all those steps to make it happen, if you will, to get Neil Armstrong to the moon and back safely, was the mission, the different steps. And then we have guiding principles. These are the values that we hold near and dear to us, that we want to project outward to the people we deal with, whether it be customers or clients, other stakeholders or family members. Perhaps it's that you would treat everybody with trust and dignity, that you will provide high quality customer service, that you will donate part of your revenue earned to a charitable function. These guiding principles are the values in which you will operate upon and how you will make decisions in regards to how you work with other people. These are the foundation pieces. I have found in my experiences as a consultant, as a trainer, when I go into organizations to review how they're doing, that very few people have an accurate vision, mission, and guiding principles. They may have had one and it's a couple of years old, but that means they're working on old software. So they need an update. And so if you haven't looked at a vision, mission, and guiding principles for your organization in the last 12 months, please do. And if you don't have these 3 items for your own personal life, I suggest you start to put time aside and create these. You don't have to have them perfect. You just need to start putting things on paper and creating the vision for your life. If you have a family and you have a significant other or children and can bring them together, let them be part of that and create that vision for your family. And then create it a little bit for each one of you, and then create that mission on how you're going to achieve your vision. And then spend a little time creating the guiding principles. Perhaps in a family case, it may be that you'll never lie to one another, or that when you're in a conversation, you'll listen to the others. So there can be many different types of guiding principles. From there, I went into the second topic, which is about leadership. Leadership is a topic that's kind of ambiguous, but I tried to distill it down for you to some actions that leaders do, some different ways of thinking, if you will, on whether you motivate somebody or whether you inspire them. I want to be able to show some insights and give you time to think and reflect upon how you lead, how you make decisions, how you come across to other people and whether you're being congruent with your actions based on the things that you talk about. And this is where we can look at your vision and mission and make sure that your work and your actions align well. I talked about communications in the third module. Communications, not only from the perspective of how we talk to ourselves, because that's most important, I believe, is how we talk to ourselves, but then how do we talk with others around us at home and in society, as well as in the workplace. In both the modules of leadership and communications, I've given you examples out of two of the books that I wrote. And I wrote a book particularly about communications in the workplace and leadership. Both of them have great stories in their examples, and I believe they are prescriptions for success. I've applied them to my customers and my clients. I've applied them with my coaching clients on one-on-one situations. So you may find great value in reading those if you haven't. Both of them are available in electronic format online. In the fourth part of the program, I went into information about goal attainment, on really the value of setting goals, how simple it can be. Gave you a few examples, both from professional level and personal level, that by living a goal-oriented life, which most people do anyway, they just don't formalize it, never achieve the success that they thought they would, but by formalizing it and putting it down to all your objectives and your deadline dates and the initiatives, the steps that you need to take to achieve your goals, assigning accountability if it's to be somebody other than yourself, particularly if you're in the workplace or in your family and other people are accountable for a certain goal, and then deciding whose help you need so that you can have them help you, much like the family members, helping them to better understand how they can support you. So goal attainment is critical, and it's important for the success of somebody who's going to be a leader and communicate, because when you have goals and you're achieving them, you're literally setting a great leadership example, and you're communicating success steps and success habits in how you're doing things. Again, I shared a tool that I have created, that I have authored, the Success Scorecard Tracking System, which I've used myself. I've made it and created it based on my application, and then I started sharing it with other people when others wanted to use it, and then I have it available now with a workbook that you may find will give you some extra instruction on how to put your own Success Scorecard tracking system together that you can update as frequently as you want and print it out and put it on your desk or print it on your refrigerator, wherever you care to do it. You can also, of course, carry it on your iPad or any smartphone because it's in a simple to use document. And then the final session I talked about was time management, and how managing your time can be the way, again, to reflect your leadership and your communications and how you set your goals. Time management. We all get the same amount of time every day, yet some people manage it far better than others. In that session, I tried to help you to better understand how you could use boundaries to help you. That by setting some boundaries and then again sharing what those boundaries are with others and how that can give you more time. You may need to plan purposely things into your schedule to make sure they get accomplished. For example, if you're in a relationship with somebody and even if you're married, you might want to set every Tuesday night or every other Tuesday night as date night, and hold yourselves accountable and hold those boundaries and go on date nights. In the workplace, you may need to schedule when you go walk around and talk with employees. Purposely put it in your schedule to manage your time. I gave you several different ideas on how to use lists. Write out your 20 items. Put them in the priority order of A, B, and C. Use that on a weekly basis for at least 12 weeks. Build up the habit, and then perhaps move to what I do. I do, instead of that weekly list, now I do it on a daily basis, and I make my list out for the next day. And I only have about 3 or 4 things usually on that list, sometimes not even any. If I'm caught up and I don't feel like I have to do anything, then I know I have an extra vacation day or fun day, or I just keep up with what's going on. But the lists are a great way to not only help you remember everything that you need at a grocery store, but also everything you need to accomplish. And these are the areas which the curriculum was based upon. And I believe strongly that by taking these individually and learning them deeper, that now you can look at them as a whole system and say, if you really want to realize your full potential, You have to be better at each one of these areas. And it's a constant area of growth. It's not just you learn it once. You can go back and learn it deeper and deeper, more and more, and find other information that's not only in this program, but in other programs as well. The good thing about this program is you can go back and watch those lessons over and over and over and share it with other people as well. So a few tips now, some tips that I suggest to maximize the learning out of this program, and it is really about action, is that start acting yourself into a new way of thinking. Start first acting in a way that's more successful. It's about spending some time doing your self-reflections, doing your list. A lot of times people think that they have to get the mindset done first and then start acting. That's certainly one approach. You have to have a good mindset, but you can start to act yourself into a new way of thinking just by going out and trying it. Try making the list. See how that works for you. And by acting that out and doing it, you'll start thinking differently. You don't always have to go to class. You don't have to think about it, analyze it, and keep reading and reading before you start something. In many cases in sports, most of us, I believe, when we were kids, we just grabbed a ball and we started playing with it. Nobody had to give us any directions. We just started acting, and we found that little by little, if we wanted to play soccer, if we wanted to play baseball or football, that there were some rules. So you don't have to have all the knowledge that you need to actually have to get started. So just go out there and start doing some things. Put these steps into action and say, you know what, I'm going to do something a little bit different tomorrow. Tonight before you're going to go to bed, perhaps create a small list of the things you need to accomplish. Or tonight before you go to bed, set up your date night with your wife or your husband or your significant other. Or set up time with your children and says, you know what, next Tuesday evening we're going to go to the park. Whatever that may be, start somewhere. Start now. Collaborate and share. As you mentioned in this program, even whether it talks about self-reflecting or whether you're going to be communicating with others and listening more, particularly when you start setting your goals and when you start managing your time, collaborate and share. People will help you if they know how you need help the best. Everybody does the best they can, and people don't know what they don't know. So if you don't tell your family members or your coworkers the type of help you need to help not only yourself but them, don't expect them to be able to understand what you're doing. If you went through this training program all by yourself and you start doing things without telling other people why you've changed your behavior, you may lose the opportunity to do even more so. Not only will you be helping yourself, but you'll be helping them. Remember, you always have the opportunity to set a great example. So if you want people to talk more to people. If you want people to listen to you better, listen more to them. If you want to involve more people in your life, then you need to get involved more with what they're doing as well. So collaborate, share this information, and together you'll find far more success than if you do this by yourself. Learn and teach. I'm a big believer that you can learn something, but until you try to teach somebody else or share it with somebody else, you don't learn it to the degree that you will otherwise. So if you learn something and you try the self-reflection, self-correction, at the end of that, then share it with others. Let other people do the same thing. Or if you're in a workplace and you've had something happen, bring a small team together and learn together. Go through that self-reflection piece. Reflect upon what happened. Then assess it as a team, as a group, and then look at how you can make it better next time. That way, you're not only showing that you've learned this material, but you're also teaching it. You'll learn it to a greater degree and you'll help others. Again, you'll be setting an example. And I will continue to tell people, and I'll help to encourage you, start to read, because leaders are readers. Read those 10 pages of a good book every day, no matter where you're at. Try to put that time into your schedule and make it a boundary, whether you find it to be in the morning or the evening or at lunch. Everybody can find time to read. If you can't read because perhaps you have a handicap or you're disabled in a way where you can't read, then use the electronic tools that are available to you to listen and find other ways to be able to read and learn. So reading is not the only way to learn. There are many other ways, but if you can read, that's great. If not, listen to videos or tapes. And then review. As you go through your program and you try to make a difference in your goals, then come up with your plan. Plan your goals. Look what's happening after a certain point, after you've been doing it for a while, check upon it and act again. This is what known as the continuous process improvement cycle. When you create your goals for your goal attainment section and you say you want to have an improved customer satisfaction in 12 months, or you want to run a marathon, you create your plan, you create your objectives, your initiatives, whose help you need. That's the planning part. Once you start putting it into place, then you're doing it. And after a certain period of time, you check on it. I know if I want to improve customer satisfaction in 12 months, I'm not going to wait till 12 months from now to check it out. I'm going to check it out maybe in 3 months from now. I'm going to check it out again in 6 months from now. And based on what I find at that 3 and 6 month increments, I may need to act upon that and change my plan, because I may have had a plan which is not accurate. It's not going to work. I'd much rather know 3 or 6 months into the year than wait till the end of the year and find out that I missed the opportunity to have changed my plan. So always keep in mind that a plan, a goal, a strategy, even a vision is not hard cast in stone. They can change, and they will change as you grow, as you learn, as your organization becomes a learning organization, and as the environment and other people come and go into your lives or into your workplace. That a plan should be fluid and what I call living documents. A goal, a vision, a plan should all be living documents. And from the living document, when it changes, then you change the mission if it needs to change, or you change the goals, you change the deadline dates. But you stay active in this living document, and you have to decide how often it is you want to check on it, and then you act upon that. Again, by doing these steps of the plan, to do, the check, act, you will be setting a great example for others. So what's next? Start to self-reflect, self-assess, and self-correct. These are 3 steps, as I mentioned, in the leadership section that the most successful people do on a regular basis, if not daily, if not after everything they do. Self-reflect. You may want to reflect at what you had for dinner. Was it a good dinner? Was it a healthy dinner? Did it help improve your health, or did it detract from your health? That's the different types of decisions, of remembering that every decision counts. As you self-reflect, whether it be on that meal or it be on how you did with your team in the workplace, or how you did perhaps on a sales strategy that you put into place earlier in the year, once you take a look at that, assess it. Is it working? Is it serving you well? If you ate that bad dinner that was not healthy for you, you have to assess that and say, is that okay? Is it okay because you only do it once in a while and you're going to splurge every now and again or give yourself a treat, but you know you don't do that every day, so you don't really have to change that. But if you're eating that poor meal, which is not healthy for you every day or too often, you need to self-correct and change that so you'll be more healthier in the future. Remember, think about 10 years from today. Are you going to be in better health, or are you going to be in worse health? You get to choose the path. You get to choose the path. The problem is most people don't make a conscious choice. They just eat what's in front of them, and they don't worry about 10 years from now. Those 10 years are going to go by either way. Why not be in good health 10 years from now? Or for some people, depending on where you're at, that 10 years may not make it. You may not make it to 10 years if you don't eat healthy, if you don't live a better lifestyle. I am over the age of 50, and I realize that there's more days behind me than there are in front of me. So I realize that as I go through life now, more than ever before, I have to self-reflect and say, am I living a healthy life? Am I making a difference towards living my legacy? Am I living my dreams so that I can leave something behind and help other people? The ideas of train for today and educate for tomorrow. When you do your self-reflection and self-assessment, you need to decide, do you need more training today? If it's in the workplace and you need to improve customer service, customer satisfaction, what training needs to happen perhaps to you and to your employees to allow that to happen? If you're not eating a healthy meal on a regular basis, what training do you need to be able to overcome that? Do you need help from a dietitian or nutritionist? Do you need to go and join a gym and get the help of a professional there, such as a fitness trainer? And also look at tomorrow. If you, again, take that 10-year look and you can see, whether it be in business, in your life, you can see trends that are occurring. If you have young children today, imagine 10 years from now, they're not going to be as young. Maybe they're teenagers, or maybe they've left your house. How do you prepare for that? What education might you need to be a better parent, to be a better person in society, to be a better professional? Lifelong learners. Leaders are lifelong learners. Doesn't always mean you have to go to a formal school like a college or university. Could be just more programs like this program that you're in listening to right now. This could be training for day. It could also be providing some education for tomorrow, depending on how you look at this. You can play this over and over. So constantly look at how you can improve yourself, not only in the short term, but in the long term. Set that great example for others. If you want to really say what's next, is to consider in your self-reflection, what kind of example are you really setting? I mean, be honest with yourself. Is it a great example? Are you a great parent? Are you a good parent? Do your kids and your spouse trust you? Do they come to you with problems and concerns? In the workplace, do people feel comfortable coming to you? Are you setting the great example for them to emulate, so that they can take your place, or they can work on their own, or that you're helping developing their careers? Do they trust you? Do they respect you? What kind of example are you setting? If you follow the steps in this program from the very beginning, by setting your vision and working on a mission and your guiding principles, become a better leader, better communicator, set more goals and attain your goals and manage your time better, you'll be setting a better example. You may already be setting a great example in some areas. Most people do. But where else can you set a better example? Where do you need to be more congruent with your actions and your ideas? Again, this is a time where you can start stepping into greatness. You don't have to be great today, as they say. You just have to start to be great. So as you start to be great, it's that taking action and setting a better example. And it comes back really to what to do next. It goes right back to the beginning of this program. Create a great vision for your life. Create a great vision for your career. Create a great vision for your family. Then work on it. Spend some time planning. The time and effort you put into yourself, your family, those around you, and the groups that you associate with, and the places where you work, will leave a legacy. We are all going to die one day. We know that. The question is, what kind of legacy are you leaving behind? If it's 2 or 5 years after your death and your family members are sitting around, what might they be saying about you? In the workplace, after you resign and retire and you leave, or if you pass away soon thereafter, what would you think they would be saying about you a couple of years after you're gone? What do you want them to say about you? If you want them to say that you did well, that you're an honest person, that you were faithful, you set a great example, then now's the time to work on it more than ever before. We don't know how many days you're going to have. You may not have the 10 years that I talked about. You may only have 10 months. You may have 10 days. We don't know. But we know that the better focus we have on our goals and our vision, the easier it is for other people to surround us and help us, so that we can all make a bigger difference and everybody can have a better life. I'm a firm believer when great leaders like John F. Kennedy in the United States, or any other great political leader or spiritual leader, set out a path and created a vision for others to be able to get excited about, that it gave them more hope. You can set a greater example for other people to have more hope. And when you can do that, you are a great leader. You're a great person. You're a great organizational professional. You're a great family member. I'll end this program with information again about the motto I have, that education is a lot like life. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.